Assistant Memo. It's realistic to assume the stance of complete incomprehension when studying the bare facts of existence. The bluff collapsed, crushing beachgoers. Some nerve muttered to the fragile interior of my car. Fish on the radio. I can't recall why. Reddening sky about finish to the west. It's true what she said about cousins, I guess. Nobody responds to my group text. I crinkle paper but fail to understand the very basic fact about my emotional weather. We're all idiots, and I don't mean that pejoratively. We just need to accept it and be cautious about the ways we push our beliefs onto people around us. At least I do. Neighborhood dog's insistent yarp discovered my dream a few moments before waking me completely. The bed as much a monument to sleep as it is a practical container for the activity. Seafoam green comforter, marine layer outside blanketing the houses in fog. Laundry basket overflowing in the corner. Creatures discover a distaste for pain immediately upon contact. What do we rescue from the burning house of our bodies? The answer may surprise you. Deep within an orange, the idea for even more oranges stubbornly pouts with supernatural insistence. Light mist in the air. I lose momentum when it matters most. How have I not even begun to sort through the collection that pins me down and find the one item worth keeping if it exists? Don't envy the painless. They're dead. Any start can be a good start if you understand it in a certain way. The bold path we once cut into the unknown, now but a distant memory, and what lies ahead, more mystery than we'd care to admit. A resolute solution we're incapable of putting into action. Fine details we've overlooked in an attempt to remain relevant. Or so I find again, and remember how many times I found it before. The key is to not understand as thoroughly as possible. I mean, allow the limitless canopied jungle to take root like a thick terror in the bloodstream and let it bloom and be okay with that, or so I'm told. In search of no permanent residence and beset by hunger and less than impartial investigators from the great bureaucracy. No, I don't know what I'm saying. I hope I've made that clear. The consequence concerns us, but what choice do we have, truly? Some people erupt suddenly and with pleasure taken in the dark heartbeats that carry them beyond all reason and dignity. And if that's okay, it's because it simply must be an essential aspect of our existence. Even still, I look away when our eyes meet. I breathe without thought and take what I can, concerned only with being able to keep it. Some sweet smell in the air downtown quickly overpowered by stale urine as I cross Market Street. The sun is out and the temperature mild. I appreciate the consideration and I understand your time is valuable. Please reach out with any and all questions. How do we project ourselves onto individual astonishments, and who can I pin this on? My intellectual fraud, a matter of national security at this point. Where does a wave go once it subsides? If you see where I'm going with this, please ring the bell beside your right hand and fill me in. I'm sorry to pry into the wood-grain body armor you wear to blend in when visiting your parents' house. There's a new totality to contend with in the comments section of the misanthropic fugue state we now live in. There is part of me that wants only to rest in a cool room and ignore the basic facts of existence very much like a fickle houseplant, ignorant to the chain of command imposing order on the animal kingdom outside my window. The burden is the gift, says the whomever beside the burning incense at the altar. Unlivable in an absolute sense. A temporary state anyhow, And I try to remember that as the old emotional configurations lock in place without warning, and despite the negative side effects, I encourage them to stay. No response is coming. I'm sorry. The athletes dream of doing nothing as a state of grace without realizing how it feels to live without purpose. Burden, gift, etc., the assistant whispers to my ear as I address the crowd gathered outside the bookstore, a light rain beginning to mist the assembled. The worldview I've accumulated for 4 decades, now a wholesale anachronism, to the point I'm too scared to speak, the public language having changed so radically I can just barely decipher the codes. It's embarrassing to admit, like popcorn ceilings or wood paneling. The faucet in the garage still works, and I watch the copper-colored water splash and pool into the oversized paint-splattered sink, unable to know what I don't yet know, but still accountable for my decisions. There's a perfect location for the island in the kitchen, says the gas station attendant into the phone cocked between his shoulder and ear. A passenger plane, adorably miniaturized by altitude, silently passing overhead. I try to understand the bold flavors being marketed at me by the miniature television embedded in the gas pump. Lemonade stands don't market lemonade. They market childhood, pluckiness. I wait until I know you're watching to bust out 4 push-ups in the hot sand. This time I know you saw me, concern blooming across your face. We consider only what we understand, and if we're paying attention should find this some relief, and occasionally unbearable. It's unpleasant to ride in a full elevator with my many wants and desires telegraphed on my poker face. I try to consider the source when deciding to believe the thoughts that spray against the back of my face as though from a fire hose. A good cinnamon roll in a glass case behind the counter. Well, I'm assuming it's good.